Remember when we were kids and our families let us have our own room? We would do whatever we liked in our little room. We chose on our own the color of the walls and the sheets on our bed. Some of us put up posters of our favorite musicians or film stars. Others went nerdy and placed the world map on the wall. That was us at TFI. But then there were some kids that started off very enthusiastic, and somewhere down the line, they let their rooms get cluttered and dirty beyond recognition. Their mothers would ask, "Is your room clean?" "Yes, Mom," the bad kid would say. "I don't think you've cleaned. Should I come and check?" "No, Mom, it's clean. It's all under control." "Well, okay. Then maybe you wouldn't mind me coming and checking the room." "What? No. You don't have to see my room, Mom. I know you have not cleaned. You should have never gotten your own room. I'm coming over and cleaning it right now." And then the kid would literally race their mum back to the room. "No, wait, I am doing it. I'm here. You don't have to come." Then the kid would finally start cleaning up the mess, but only when they saw a nice thrashing coming their way. Well, I don't know about you guys, but that bad kid was definitely Kamala Harris. And I'll tell you why. Hi, and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I am your host Shubhangi, and in this video, I will tell you about Vice President Kamala Harris suddenly racing down to the southern border after being completely negligent of the border crisis for the last 3 months. Let's begin. So, 92 days after being named to lead the efforts for curbing the ongoing migrant surge at the southern US border, Vice President Kamala Harris will finally visit the border. You might think, why after 92 days has Harris decided to suddenly go to the border? Well, Harris still wouldn't have bothered to visit the border she is supposed to handle if it wasn't for Trump's decision to visit the southern border and witness firsthand the devastation caused by Biden and Harris's liberal policies. The US Vice President, who has been appointed as his border czar by President Joe Biden, will visit El Paso, Texas on Friday. Simone Sanders, senior advisor of Vice President Kamala Harris, confirmed the visit and said, "As a part of this ongoing work on border crisis, the Vice President traveled to Guatemala and Mexico earlier this month and will travel to El Paso on Friday." Up until now, Harris was being implored by GOP leaders like Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich to visit and see the migrant crisis in his state's section of the US border. But Vice President Harris didn't bother to even visit and see for herself what people were going through on the southern US border, even though she was tasked with handling the crisis. Yet immediately after it was announced that former US President Donald Trump would visit the border along with Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Kamala Harris changed tracks. She understood how Trump's visit to the southern US border will draw large-scale media attention and mount criticism on the vice president's shoddy management of the migrant crisis. So Harris only had one option: race to the southern US border and reach there before Trump. However, Kamala Harris's newfound enthusiasm about visiting the southern US border only gives more fodder to Donald Trump. Now, the former US president will be able to expose Kamala's hypocrisy and also point out how the Biden-Harris administration fears the former US president. Kamala's sudden border visit simply gives a lot of fodder to Trump. Trump himself has released a statement claiming that if he and Abbott weren't going there next week, she would have never gone. Republican Senator Ted Cruz too spoke to Fox News about Harris's visit to the border and said,
"Suddenly, President Trump is going to the border and they realized, oh crap, we got to do something."
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, of course, denied the insinuations made by Trump and Cruz. She told the reporters that she had, and I quote, "said here from this podium," and Harris has also said that when it was the right time, Harris may go to visit the border. Well, for Kamala, the right time was only when Trump was going to the border. Kamala and Psaki can deny it as much as they want, but the fact remains that before Trump announced his border visit, Vice President Harris really had no plans to visit the border. Remember, Vice President Harris was more obsessed with addressing the root causes of migration originating from Central American countries like El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico. Obviously, she met with a lot of embarrassment in Guatemala and was ridiculed by almost all Central American nations. Kamala's solution of handling the border crisis was not to visit the border, rather it conceived throwing money in the faces of Central American nations. Even though the US Vice President had to face protests during her Guatemala visit, Kamala was always eager to address Central American nations instead of visiting the border she was assigned to handle. In fact, even during an interview with friendly media CNN, she couldn't handle a question about her border visit. All Kamala could do was laugh and say,
and I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
By racing to the southern US border suddenly because of Trump, Kamala thinks that she will be able to avoid much of the embarrassment she's bound to face at the hands of the former US president. This is what has prompted Biden's border czar, who never uttered a word about the migration surge, to visit El Paso in Texas. She's truly afraid of Donald Trump. What Kamala Harris is going to do now is simply too little too late, however. Trump has already entered the fray, and now he will grill President Biden and his deputy, Vice President Kamala Harris, over the migration crisis. His own immigration policies have been vindicated, and he is surely going to have the last laugh after Kamala exits the border state. With Harris's opportunistic visit to El Paso, Trump also gets more fodder to corner the Biden administration, and it will be a roast for all of us to watch.